This is Silent Hill 2 Remake. We're here on Xbox Series X, finally. Be sure to like the video, subscribing is great as well. So obviously this is the remake of Silent Hill 2, which is an all-time classic horror game. It is a beloved title. It is an amazing remake and reimagining of that original experience in a new sort of design and setup that retains that styling, that really flair, the scares, the tension, and just really delivers it in a fresh and exciting way for a new generation of people to experience. You've received a letter from your deceased wife. James heads in hopes of figuring out what exactly this means to a place, a creepy place, Silent Hill. You're trying to figure out everything that's going on, what's wrong with you, and try to get a feel for everything out here as you really process the problems going on in your life. These games are very deep in what they have as far as meaning. They are very emotional, they are scary, they've got some good action to them, they've got some really beautiful environments, the ambience, the fog, the creepiness. They're great games. The Silent Hill titles are really quite excellent. Silent Hill 2 is the best of them. And the way they did this is just absolutely excellent. So I played this a year ago when it came out on the PlayStation side of things, and it was just phenomenal. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Oh, here we go.
See that town? Silent Hill? You promised you'd take me there again someday, but you never did. Well, I'm alone there now, in our special place, waiting for you.
Ooh. So, yeah, it was kind of nice to come back and kind of revisit this game and play a good chunk of it already, through, and I'm going to be presenting the rest of it as well. And, yeah, it's quite a vibe. This is just the opening of the game, so there won't be anything spoilerish for you, in case that is a problem, but I'm assuming most people are kind of familiar with this. We're just gonna skip ahead and just kind of get moving a bit. I'm assuming most people that are taking a look at this are familiar with the game, but I'm also assuming there are many people that have perhaps never played this, or kind of want to go in fresh, or it's been so long that they sort of have forgotten things. But you go in and you are visiting the town of Silent Hill. You will interact with things. There's a combat system. There's health you have to monitor. There's difficulties that will change your game. There's a lot of help options to make it a little bit easier for you so that it's not as challenging, or, it can make it more challenging. There's lots of settings and accessibility things. The game is actually filled to the brim with them, and we'll showcase that a little bit later. We're presenting all the tech stuff of this one. But yeah, you're kind of solving some puzzles that I think present themselves in a good way that don't really confuse you too much. It's more, a lot of the confusion in this game will come from you exploring and trying to make your way through the environments, where some of them are very maze-like. You'll move through these segments that are very kind of narrative driven, very story structured, and you go through these bits and they present the world to you and they tell you about it and you allow you to discover it. And then you'll go into these places that are more preset labyrinths and puzzles, and that's where the fun of the challenge and the creepiness of Silent Hill really comes through, is that sort of a thing. I think they do a good job with that here. So from a technical standpoint, we've got two different modes. This is the quality mode. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this mode because there is a little bit more action and stuff to this one, but it is fine because it is a little bit more narrative driven, as to say. So this is your quality mode. It's something like a dynamic 1500p that scales quite a bit depending on what's going on to 4K, because it's our favorite engine. Everything's temporally scaled at 30 FPS. So that's what you've been seeing this whole time. Not something I necessarily would recommend. I'd recommend performance mode, but the choice is up to you. We also have a lot of different options in this game as far as settings go. So the motion blur, your graphics mode, you can play it like it's from the 90s. Colorblind options, high contrast stuff, change the color of people within the environment. Like I said, lots of accessibility things. And then lots of combat options too. How dynamic the combat is, how intense it is, your HUD settings. This might help a lot, actually, turning that off, because it's kind of annoying, but it helps you know how healthy you are. But from a visual standpoint, it actually might be a little nicer to play it without that on. But you get all these interaction things and all these settings you can adjust. Some audio settings too, control stuff, and then yeah, accessibility things like gameplay, graphics. All here kind of like easily available under accessibility or found throughout the different things, but just stuff that makes it a little easier for you to control everything that's going on with your game in case you're struggling to some degree. So now we're on performance mode. So this is a much lower resolution. This is something that's like around 1080p-ish, taken to 4K at 60 FPS. I think it's pretty easily the choice for you to experience this game through personally. I would recommend this to be the way to go. That's how you save these like red paper and they flash and burn your eyes. But no, that is the way to go about it, is playing with that sort of an option. It's just a performance mode. It does make your, I guess you would say, like hair on characters a little fuzzy, and the environment looks a little fuzzy at times, but I mean, it's a pretty, kind of a technically demanding game. It looks good though. It does look good. It is quite noticeable still, because it's sort of like coming from, this would have been on the PS5, and then I would have played on the PS5 Pro, which has its own a little bit of shimmer stuff, and then this, so you're kind of going from sort of blurry to not really as blurry, back to kind of blurry, but there's sort of pluses and minuses in how the picture kind of comes across. This is really a next-gen console kind of game. I mean, it's fine looking today, but it's sort of like in this scene, I don't know how well that shows up on YouTube. It looks so blurry, like fuzzy and stuff, the hair and all that, and yeah, you notice that a lot throughout the game as you go through places. It's still a good picture quality, don't get me wrong. Like, I think you look around here, the tree looks good. The tombstones all look good. The fog is phenomenal in this game. Seriously, the fog, the volumetrics on the fog is so good. But, yeah, you definitely can notice that, even within the world on some things too. It's just that. And the raindrops and the interaction points, you can definitely tell that we don't quite have the firepower, as to say, the extra power to really deliver this at a more native-like resolution, of course. There's also HDR support, spatial sound, Dolby Atmos, and DTS:X. And a neat overall illumination system, which is quite fun. So going back to the game, you will go through what is a pretty lengthy experience. I'm making better time in running through this on Xbox, which is kind of fun. Because, like, I mean, I've done this, right? And there's spots you can use to skip, and you can kind of, to a degree, cheat your way through things, if that makes sense. Like, if you know, like, combo puzzles and things like that allow you to solve the puzzles a lot faster. So you're going to get at least 10 hours out of this, at least. Gameplay-wise, probably a lot more, if I'm being honest. And then it is a game that sort of encourages you to replay it. So if you're not familiar with the Silent Hill games, part of the appeal of them is that you sort of play it and then you replay it because you get different endings based on things you do in the game. So it's actually a big part of the Silent Hill games to play it, replay it, make those choices, and set up those distinct different endings to see everything happen. And there might be a special little tool in this area for you if you do go and come back again, and that kind of makes it fun. So there is that level of replayability, but I think as a core game, it's really, really well done. This is a genuinely impressive title. I think the puzzles will be interesting, the combat will be fun, you will be scared, you will be creeped out, you will get some really unsettling moments as you go through these worldly and then otherworldly segments in the search for your deceased wife. You know, the disease got her so many years ago, but we're just back into the action again, I guess. I don't know. No, I do know. I mean, I played through this, but yeah. So there's like multiple interesting characters that you will interact with on your journey through the Silent Hill area. They all have their own problems and demons and situations that you will, I guess you would say, to a degree, witness and understand over the course of the story. It's quite, like, it sort of shows you things, but there's also a cryptic aspect to it, one where you've got to, like, there's lots of little clippings and things that you can read, and then, of course, online people have dissected these games to such a high degree this is Silent Hill 2, right? So this is a game that has existed for a very, very long time. It's not like a new game. The way they've done it with the character model here and stuff, it's a beautiful reimagining of it. If you haven't seen the original Silent Hill 2, it is definitely a classic. We've got videos on the channel of the HD collection that came out well, that was the 360 title that they kind of, back compat and everything. And that had Silent Hill 2 and 3. And not the best way to play those games, but it is a way to play those games. And you can kind of see the vibe difference between those old school controls and then reimagining it as sort of a more, I want to say, action-driven kind of thing. It works, though. It really, really works for this game. Sometimes you see reimaginings and you're kind of like, oh no, or ugh. And you take a look at this one and you're just like, they absolutely nailed it. From the visuals to the vibe to the atmosphere. It would be really cool, and I know they are working on it, but it would be really cool to see more Silent Hill games get upgraded like this, the older legacy ones, and to see in general maybe other games that aren't Silent Hill, but have these sort of vibes getting reimagined in this kind of a way, because it is just such a unique way to experience something. It's everything you remember, but expanded upon, and done and presented in a way that is chilling and unsettling, and filled with just some ambience. Like, I mean, if we've just been like walking around, but it is genuinely so creepy. And then you get all these interactive points, and all this stuff happens, and puzzles, and danger, and grotesque foes, and unsettling nurses, and monstrous sights. Twisted legs, big creepy monster things, and bosses, and a person that's really dealing with the emotional sense of like, what happened, what am I doing, what did I do, and it's so cool to see it all sort of unravel over the course of the story. And as you sort of, I guess you would say, to a degree, replay things, you'll see so many twisted things that will go on. And the ambience for this game is unmatched. I mean, we talked about the technical details, but seriously, the amount of detail in this compared to the original version is ridiculous. That old game has a perfect vibe to it, it really does. But if you look here and you just kind of like, just for a second, just kind of take it in, the fog, but you can still see that there's like a stop sign in the distance, or like the trees and that. It gives you enough of like, it's sort of a grounded place, but it feels so otherworldly too, because like you don't come across fog like this very often in your day-to-day. And then you look at the buildings and the level of detail in them, all the overgrown areas and all the little finite details and stuff. Like, you won't even spend more than a second looking at this stuff. You just kind of run by it, it's basically set dressing, but the amount of detail they spent in recreating these areas is just remarkable. And it'll be so cool to eventually take a look at, Silent Hill 1 done like this, Silent Hill 3 done like this. Seeing those classic games touched up in a way that I think is a lot more sort of interesting and accessible and intriguing for people that probably feel that those old games are really dated and archaic. This just allows you to witness that in an exciting way. And here on Series X, it actually delivers a really good experience as far as like performance and stuff too. Like, this is something where you get like the odd performance dip here or there, but for the most part, this does run really smoothly. It'll just be like the odd little dip or the odd little hitch every now and then, but I think most people won't really notice that, or you'll notice it be like, oh, okay, and it'll just be like a brief second or two that sort of thing happens, and you'll just kind of forget about it in a second later. But yeah, no, they really did deliver a truly remarkable and great experience with Silent Hill 2 Remake. This is the type of game that really you kind of look at and you think long term that this is going to be something people will play and replay and revisit, and this version of it will kind of be almost like, I guess I'll throw it out there, a definitive experience for Silent Hill 2. It just makes the whole thing so much more approachable. Like, you could play, the old version of this really easily, and it's still great. It really is. Like, I really genuinely think that old game has a special flair to it in that. But for so many people that are used to how gaming is today, this is the sort of style they desire, and this game just nails it. Visually, tonally, setup wise, the characters, the performances here are so great too. As far as like, you know, the characters coming in doing the voice acting and everything like that, it's so well done. And to see them all kind of interact with each other over the course of the story is really cool, because obviously this is very much about your character, but there's so much more to it than just that. There's many people that you do meet in this fog, this mist, and you go to these places that are so unsettling. You know, you'll head out and you'll go into a creepy, terrifying hospital. You'll find yourself at this hotel of sorts. You'll go through the town and see some of the greatest hits, and you see how this all reminds you of things and reminds you of moments, you know, from the character's perspective, and it's just so interesting to see that all kind of play out. And it's a slow burn too. Like, if you've been watching this and you're like, oh, you're just kind of walking around. It takes time. This is, again, it very much acts as a bit of a tutorial thing to kind of get you started, to teach you some of the mechanics, and to get you out there in the world. And then after you're rolling and you're seeing things, it becomes a lot more like, okay, I know what I'm doing, I know how to handle this stuff. But that sense of terror continues. I actually wish they would have spent, or had you spend more time in the town like this. You go to a lot of places, like the areas in here, a lot of these buildings are buildings you do go into. These are places you visit and you can explore to a degree and everything like that. Like, we can break this and we can, you know, come in here and stuff and whatnot and see some unsettling things. And there might be like a creepy thing here or there that you can go into, but it would have been kind of cool to spend a little bit more time in some extra buildings or something. Like, when you're playing this, it makes sense. There's lots of stuff to see and do, but yeah, I don't know. I love this area so much, and I wanted to spend more time with it, but they do a really good job of having you move through here and actually spending the proper amount of time doing things and seeing stuff without feeling like you're just kind of stuck in like one spot not doing anything, I guess. The pacing of this game is very, very good. Actually, I think this is the way to go, right? No, that's not the way to go. Yeah, the pacing of this game is very well done. It's a lengthy experience, but the story and such works out so well in this. And then as everything continues to be revealed, and you kind of go, whoa, and you sort of, to a degree, make the choices you need to make as you try to survive and deal with things and, you know, handle your health and your weapons and your ammo, because you really do get a limited supply of stuff. You do not get a lot of things. And you need to actually make the best of like the weapons you have and the bullets you shoot and the health you have available to you. And then if you make things tougher as well, there's an extra layering of like resource management that you need to do. But I never felt that anything was too kind of daunting, if that makes sense. Like, I think everything in this is very, like, the quests and everything are very logical. What you need to do is sort of marked out for you enough that you shouldn't really have problems going through it and figuring it out. Sometimes you might get a little stuck and you might get a little frustrated, but it's a lot of just kind of looking around and interacting with things and going into places and trying different spots. There's a couple items even on like a second run of this, because it's been like a year, so some stuff you forget, like the smaller details. But like that stuff I figured out still pretty decently easily, but there could be a couple of spots where I could see, you know, people get a little like, oh, what's going on? Or even myself going, oh, okay, what exactly were we doing here? And being like, oh, okay, this or that. And yeah, there's quite a lot to this to enjoy. I really think you'll have a great time with Silent Hill 2. Especially if you've never played it. This game will probably blow your mind. I'm really eagerly awaiting more from this. And I think you will have a delightful experience going around in this cozy Silent Hill town and trying to gather what you need and try to survive and try to figure out what exactly the messaging is, you know, what happened with your wife, where is she, what's going on. And just the journey along the way as you try to survive in this thick, never-ending fog.